why behind what. That is so priceless. Some of the things that she just stated really was a blessing. And I know you all were able to glean a lot from that as well. All right, so let's dig in. Let's dig in as we are in our discussions here. I'm just bringing my notes up and bringing the screen up so that for those of you that are looking on YouTube, that you can see this. All right, so some of the things that she talked about in the second half of chapter 6. The title of it is How to Love Difficult People. But she really didn't dig into difficult people as much as she dealt with the handling of your mindset. Allow your mindset to be to think like that person that we're calling difficult. Let's think like, how do they see it from their lenses? And I like that, from their lenses, seeing it from their point of view instead of seeing your point of view, your way. I tell you, you could just love that person even more, because at the end of the day, the things that they are maybe pouting, upset, or angry about, or not celebrating with you on these topics or matters, the reason that they're not celebrating, the reason that they're not all ecstatic and happy and cheering you on, is because not for selfish reasons, but for reasons that we have because we love each other. She brought such a great example of one of your children marrying and relocating, and then just not having them to be around and their kids. That hurts. That really hurts. There's an absence. There's not as close of a bond with the children because they just don't get to know you like the ones that stay here get to know you. It's just the fact of the matter. You could call, you could talk, and that helps. Just think about the days back in when our grandmothers and our grandmothers' grandmothers, you know, were to say certain things like, and just the children were growing up. They get to see them maybe once a year, if that, if that. So we're blessed today to have all of the platforms that we have, all of the, the FaceTime and, all of the channels to be able to see each other and communicate. We just have to take advantage of it. This chapter was really good. She really talked about, focused on the, she really focused on the, specialty of family systems, understanding other people's frame of reference, and adjusting expectations, boundaries, and changing your own response instead of trying to force someone else to change. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what this whole chapter is about. The second end of chapter 6 is about just that. Not trying to force somebody, but changing your frame of reference. How to love difficult people. The main thing is letting them be who they are, think their opinions, think their thoughts, and let me see them clearer. I want to see them clearer. This chapter really helped me with the one problem that, you know how we are. Pray for me because my cousin or my sister or my brother, my boss is just being difficult. But think about it. What are you doing? See it from their point of view. See it from their stance. The goals that they have to reach are because of you. Let's start seeing it from different lenses. Let me love with wisdom. Let God do the changing. This second half helps us to understand that difficult relationships often stay difficult because we keep expecting someone to think, feel, communicate, and behave the way we do. That's just not how life goes. Even your sister who came from the same womb that you came from, your brother, You grew up in the same household, and you were raised in the same environment, but you have different viewpoints on life. You have different viewpoints. So I like this chapter. It's a very personal chapter, very personal for those reasons. The way we think, feel, communicate, and the way we behave. It's just not going to be the same. And we just have to learn to adjust and adjust from their lenses. Okay? So two people can experience the same event and interrupt it completely different. They can think about things, interpret or see things totally different from the other person. And you're at the same job, you sat in the same meeting, you got the same requirements, the same expectations, but you're just not seeing things exactly the same. We often, how can how can they not understand this? Why can't they see what they're doing? Or why don't they respond the way I would? You know, how many times have we thought, and our pastor says this often, Pastor Swanigan, he says this often, if I was you, I would do it this way. No, you wouldn't. If you were me, you would do it just like I'm doing it. Why? Because I'm seeing it from my frame of reference. I'm seeing it from my frame of references. You're judging it. You're taking a look and evaluating it, and you're evaluating it from your frame of reference. So see, that's the difference. That's the difference. So that's why this chapter helped us. Key thought: understanding someone's perspective does not mean agreeing with it. I understand now where you're coming from. That doesn't mean I'm in agreement with you, but I understand you. I truly can feel you. I really get it now. I get it. But that don't mean I'm in agreement. That don't mean that you know, that I want to be, closer to you as a result. Or maybe that doesn't mean that I want to be connected with you as a result. But I just understand it. I get it. Wow. So I can represent you as an attorney now and break down, hey, this is why my client did this. That's why this. And I could convince a crowd. I could convince the jurors the reason why, because I understand. I understand now. And a lot of times I have to do that in the legal field. You have to do that. It's like, I still could see how you could have avoided that. A lot of times I'm dealing with accidents. I can see how you could have avoided that. But I understand what you're saying. I get it. I get it. So I'm ready. I can go ahead and defend you. Compassion asks, what may I have shaped? What may have shaped this person? Wisdom asks, what behavior can I safely allow? So we see that compassion brings one conclusion, while wisdom brings another conclusion. All right, point number 2. Stop demanding emotional ability people may not process, abilities that people may not process. Stop demanding emotional abilities that people may not process. Sometimes we expect accountability, empathy, communication, or emotional, what was that? I lost my thought. A little alarm came off. Let's see, where was I at? Sometimes, bear with me 1 second here. Expect people to disagree. Okay, hold it up. Sometimes we expect accountability, empathy, communication, and emotional maturity from people who have repeatedly shown they do not currently have those abilities. They just don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have it. That does not mean that they can never grow. It does mean that we must deal honestly with those we are connected with today. That's why it's not good to say, I'm okay, because that's not honest. You're not okay. You wouldn't have brought it up if you were okay. It would not have been a facial gesture that was connected and associated with that pain. Now, we do have some facial gestures. Sometimes it does not align with what you're thinking my heart is saying. We do have that, but sometimes we do. Let that sink in. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we don't. They don't all align. Our mind can be on Mars, but I'm sitting here on Earth. And my face may be looking like you're boring me, but it's not. My mind is just on Mars right now. And I got to take care of Mars as soon as I get out of this meeting. So therefore, my face is looking like, really? Is this what I'm spending time with when I really got a bigger problem that I got to deal with? So, not saying that that's right, but that's just the reality. That's just reality. Because we are multitaskers and we have more than one hat that we wearing in life. Don't make me bring out my hats. Oh my goodness. So expect someone to get what they do not have to keep creating disappointments. Expecting someone to give what they do not have to keep creating disappointments. So I can hope for change without building my peace around that change. That's a good one. I can hope for change without building my peace around their changes. So I'm hoping for change. I'm hoping that this can straighten out. I'm hoping that this could get fixed. But in the midst of my hoping, in the midst of me hoping, I can't lose my peace. I can't lose my peace. I can't lose my peace in the midst of me hoping that you get better, hoping that you'll, adjust or what have you. I guess that's what that's saying. But you all get it. You all heard the chapter 2. You're in the same room. Okay, the next point, family systems, resisting change. Family often functions established roles. Their curiosities, the peacemakers, the responsive one, the quiet one, the problem child, the one everyone calls, or the one that expects to tolerate everything. The one expects to tolerate everything. When one person changes their role, the family may resist because of the whole system has become accustomed to that person's behavior a certain way. They keep on behaving a certain way. So let me say that again. When one person changes their role, the family may resist because the whole system has become accustomed to the person's behavior a certain way. This author, Mel Robbins, she uses the idea of in connection family systems in explaining why one person change can create a rippling effect throughout a family. It really can. It really, really can. Wow, that was good. So resistance does not always mean your growth is wrong. It may mean that the old pattern is being disturbed. Oh, this is so good. This is so relevant. Loving people does not require returning to the old role. Loving people does not require returning to the old role. You can love your family and um, stop resisting someone. You can love them and stop being a family rescuer. Or you can love your family or your friends and stop being the family reference center. They always come to you for the answer. You can love them and stop loaning money that you cannot afford to lose. You can love them and refuse disrespectful conversations. You can love them and refuse to allow disrespectful conversations. I love you, but you ain't gonna keep on sitting up here and cursing out my daughter when you mad. I love you, but you're not gonna sit up here and keep on talking about my sister and da 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 because you got an attitude because it didn't go your way. No, no, no. So set those boundaries for people. Don't let them keep talking down on your first lady, your pastor, because of their viewpoints. Your sister, your brother, your cousin, your boss. You know what? That's our boss. And I'm praying her strength, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about her. Yes, she has some ways that are very odd, very strange, and I've talked to her about them. I'm not behind her back talking. Be bold enough to share with a person. Like, do you think that's the best way to do it? Have you considered this and that? But if you have a complaint, try to ask God to give you a solution that you think that might help. It may not be the total answer, but at least don't just come with a complaint. Try to at least, if you have a complaint, try to say, what you think might work, might change things around. Amen. I brought my own amens. Love does not require me to abandon wisdom. No, I'm not going to abandon wisdom when I love. We're not going to act like this didn't happen. We're not going to act like, we didn't see things. We're not going to act like, no. Love does not require me to abandon wisdom. Next point. Boundaries must describe what you will do. That's what boundaries must describe. It describes not your frustration, not your anger. No, you're past that point. You may still have some of that in you, but you're having the anger because the Bible says we can do that. It tells us to be angry, but sin not. But I thought out what I do want, how I do want this to play out. I thought it out. Now, without me rehashing the anger, I don't have to rehash the anger to everybody. I'm setting boundaries. This is how I'm doing this. Let me give you an example. People come to me quite a bit with some things that the pastor needs to make a decision on. They may come to me, fine, great. But then I have to set boundaries because you're coming to me and making a decision that he doesn't want may cause a problem in my family. And because I'm not going to have a problem in my house, I'm going to have peace. I'm going to tell you, set boundaries. You need to go see the pastor about that. Why? And I'm not going to sit and tell you because last time I had a big blow up, big argument. Blah, blah. No, you don't need to hear all of that. You don't need to hear all of the details as to the why. Just set your boundaries and move forward. You move on. Stop worrying about all the explanations to why you came to this conclusion and thinking that it's important for people to know. Now, sometimes people do need to know. Well, I'm going to reference you to the pastor about that. Why? Because, that's a decision that he needs to make. That's really dealing with your soul, or that's really dealing with blah, 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 whatever the reason, that's something, and I know the last something like this came up and he and I had discussions about it. we kind of had differences of opinion. So I want you to go to him to get that final word. All right? All right. So that's boundary settings does not always require, and it does not always demand an explanation. It does not. Now, it will be nice. Sometimes don't be cold about it. Don't be cold about it. Like she said, now I know this wasn't in the same timing that she said it, but it's still true. There's an invisible clock that's over all of our heads. And we don't know how much time we have on this earth. So don't be cold about stuff. Don't be cold. Don't make your boundaries be concluded because you just got so mad and angry and now you're just done. You're done and you just got I'm just setting boundaries. No. If had you did this before time, it wouldn't be a cancer stage 4. Had you set some boundaries in the beginning, someone came to me with an issue. I said, you created that monster. Now you got to deal with that. You create some monsters we create. We create some things. Why? Because we let things go for so long. And then finally you just blow up. I done took all I can stand and I can't stand no more. Well, why didn't you do the first time you felt a little twinge? You should have went before the Lord and said, Lord, you give me some ways to handle this. Please, oh God. I don't want to ever have to go through this again. I don't want to ever have to go through that experience again. Help me learn how to set some boundaries here, Lord, before this gets to stage 4 cancer and hospice is in. Come on. A boundary is not, you must stop yelling. A clearer boundary is, if yelling begins, I will end the conversation and we could speak about this later. Okay? So boundaries is not, you ain't going to be yelling at me. You ain't going to be sitting there cursing at me. That's not setting boundaries. No. You're venting. You're complaining about a person. But boundaries is saying to that same yelling person, that same cursing out person, you're saying to them, if this conversation is going to continue in this manner, if it's going to continue with you yelling, cursing, using profanity, or in this temperament of anger, we need to stop right now. We need to stop right now. And we need to continue this at a later time. Let's let both of us calm down. Let's both of us calm down. Because I'm not yelling, because I'm not putting my finger in your face, because I'm not, doing all the gestures, that doesn't mean I'm not angry, spitfire mad right now. That don't mean that. That doesn't mean that. But because I'm not going to go there with you today. Today is not a good day for me to do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to damage our relationship. I don't want to say things that's going to cause a detriment later on. So therefore, let's go back into our life. Let's just go on with life for now, and let's come back and revisit this. We don't have to wait too long, but let's have some cool down time. And I think that's wisdom. That's wisdom. A boundary without action is only a request. A boundary without some form of action is only a request. All right, I have a few more, but I want to go ahead and open up to you just in case you all are real quiet today. I'll save those for tomorrow. Save them for tomorrow. All right, anybody have anything that they want to say on this? Let's just take a few and then we'll come back on our discussion day on tomorrow. Let's just take a few. All right. Well, since it's kind of quiet, I'm not going to give it a whole lot of time to let you make up your mind. We're going to come back tomorrow because that part was so good. The end part was so good. The things that she said, I want to hear some of that again tomorrow. So we're going to come back with that tomorrow. It's Thursday, and I'm thankful to God for letting us make it this far to see another week. We're in the middle of the month, you all, the middle of the month. So enjoy your day, enjoy your life, Everyone has a clock over their head that you're talking to today, and you're not going to have them forever. They're not going to be a part of your problem forever. Always remember, remember that it won't always be like this. It won't always last like this. It won't always. It won't always be like this. God's going to turn it around. He's going to work it out in your favor. God will perfect that concerneth thee. Sooner or later, it's going to work in your favor. Sooner or later, hang in there. God bless you. All right, say something positive to each other as we jump off the line. Make it an awesome day. I'm thankful for Thursday, for blessings coming in my direction. God bless you.